Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ines. This is where we talk about all things emotions, mental health, and spirituality. It is where we safely feel the feels. And today, I'm gonna get my notes out. Okay, I want to talk about duality. I feel like when people don't understand what duality is. And I saw on a comment the other day, somebody posted something about duality and how Queen Persephone was both queen of the underworld and goddess of, basically, goddess of the bloom, flowers, and she's associated with both death and with bloom of something pretty like flowers, new life. Doing a terrible job right now, but you get the idea. And somebody was like, isn't that a contradiction? And I'm like, no, that's duality. So let's talk about and learn about duality. First of all, my trusty handy little chart right here, this will show you your duality, okay? So see if we can put it down here. I'm gonna zoom it in. Okay, so first off, I have this in 3 steps. So step 1 is recognizing and getting to know your emotions. So your light and shadow emotions, your good and bad. Sometimes what you think is good, other people might think is bad. So something that you think is a pro for you, somebody else might think is a flaw, okay? So when we first start, and this is a big part of your spiritual self journey, and it's a big part of reaching 5D, it's a big part of spiritual ascension, and it is a big part of being able to receive your manifestations. So duality is kind of like the beginning of shadow work. Basically, once you start evaluating, so getting to know your emotions, your shadow emotions, there's a lot of shadow emotions that you might not be ready to be triggered by or to deal with, and that is where shadow work comes in handy. So are you able to write down these emotions and talk to them? So on this chart, if you were to write down these emotions and kind of remember certain scenarios when you felt these emotions, are you able to talk to them? Are you able to talk about them? Deconstruct situations, current or the ones on your mind, and break down the scenario. Write down as much about these emotions as you can. So step 1, recognizing and getting to know your emotions, and then step 2 is the understanding. So when you deconstruct these situations, do you understand why you felt a certain way? And again, you want to look at duality. You want to look at both sides of emotions, so the light and the shadow side. Break down the scenario. Write down as much about the emotions as you can. Processing your emotions, transmuting, alchemizing your energy, it's all the same thing. And doing shadow work and working on your duality, strengthening your duality, it's all the same thing. If you are unable to go into detail and be honest and vulnerable about certain emotions that you have, then that's an energy block. So as soon as you can't be vulnerable in an emotion, that is an energy block, because energy, emotions, I always do this. I always freaking do this. Emotions is energy in motion. So when you have an emotional block, that is your energy unable to continue moving. And if you look at the biofields, and even if you look at what I had before with that prism and the rainbow, and this is your soul self, your prism is your physical vessel, and the rainbow is all of the emotions, therefore our energy split up and working. One of the reasons why we come down to earth is for the ability for our souls to advance on a level that isn't really available in other parts of the universe. So once you enter in a physical vessel and you are able to go through this kind of process, your soul learns about itself and gains new energy in a way that is only relevant, or that is only able to be done on earth through your physical vessel. I talk about that in other episodes. I'm not going to get into it now. Don't feel shame. You are allowed and supposed to feel all of these emotions. I feel like shame is a really big one, and it is a shadow emotion all on its own. For me, for example, I watched the Pamela Anderson documentary on Netflix yesterday, and I remembered why I freaking loved her. And today I got inspired. I did a little self-love, self-care lingerie shoot. I didn't want to do it. I was just trying on some of my old lingerie, getting into the spirit. I was like, you know what? I look damn good right now. I am taking a video, and I loved it. That boost that it gave me was insane. However, when I first started recording, I felt so much shame. I felt slutty. I felt like my body's not nice enough. Do I need to be this sexy? And I was like, you know what? I look fucking so good. I've been pregnant. My body's changed like crazy. I'm going to be old and wrinkly very, very soon. So why not? And I feel like society, as soon as you're a mom or as soon as you're like in your 30s, like outside of your 20s, you're not supposed to be sexy anymore. However, when you're like a teenager, that's kind of when you have that more of that confidence, but you're underage. You're not supposed to be that sexy. Anyways, so I felt great, but I did feel a lot of shame for just thinking I was sexy. So don't feel shame. You are allowed to feel everything, all of your light and shadows. And again, I want to remind you, take a look at the light and shadow charts. All of these emotions you have access to as a human. Therefore, you are at some point going to feel all of these emotions. And there you go. Okay, and then the final step is the actual transmuting processing. So ask and talk to your emotions. If you can't talk to them or are scared to feel them again, make a list of the emotions as you feel them. This is the importance of a journal, or like what I do sometimes is I do actual videos on what I'm feeling, and then I kind of use that to my content. But basically, when you're learning duality, you have to experience absolutely everything. And shadow work comes into play when you are dealing with certain things that you're not comfortable in or you don't know how to control. For me, a big one is anger and irritation, and that's what I do a lot of shadow work on. I also find that as we kind of get more into the light emotions, the dark emotions start to also come up as well. So for example, when I'm feeling very compassionate, but it's met with some sort of cruelty, like for example, if I feel like I see people out there, like the homeless population right now in Canada, it is -40, very compassionate, and I feel bad that they're going through what they're going through right now, and that makes me angry at the fact that they're going through this. It makes me angry at the fact that we as a society still have so many unresolved issues, that we as a society aren't compassionate or aren't kind about our compassion. So it's one thing to be compassionate, but it's a whole other thing to actually take action with what you're compassionate about. So like the homeless population right now, I'm compassionate, but what am I doing about it? It's making me angry that people have to live like this. It's making me angry that I have to feel guilty, but what am I going to do about it? It's the action to it. And once you start going through all of your emotions and start kind of learning more about your duality, you can use this to empower your actionable steps and your movement. And once you're able to do this, this is how you get to your manifestations. So if you are somebody who wants to go viral on social media and be an influencer, once you kind of manifest, okay, I want to go viral and be an influencer, then you start looking at your duality, you start looking at what are the things that I need to prep myself for energetically and emotionally. Look at the chart, start talking to your shadows. Maybe one of your shadows is that you're actually really shy. How are you going to work on that? And then the more that you learn about your duality and you talk to your emotions is how you create actionable steps. And talking to your emotions is one of the actionable steps, because you're, instead of staying in this kind of self-victimization mode of I'm always going to be shy, you step out of that through action of getting you out of your shyness. How are you going to do that? And another example, I started my 33-day self-love dance challenge. When I was a kid, I loved to dance. Like I danced for hours at a time. Dancing is actually how I remembered a lot of about my past lives. It's how I transmute energy. It's just a really big spiritual, energetic action for me. And when I got into depression and then when I got pregnant, I stopped dancing. Like, even just as an exercise, just for fun in my bedroom, I just stopped dancing. And I started this 33-day challenge to push myself to dance more and be more my authentic self. And I thought, if I post just like 10 seconds a day, that'll hold me accountable to actually do that dancing for my own self. Like, I can do 5 to 25 minutes a day, but I only have to post that 10-second segment, and that holds me accountable. First day I did it, I was terrified. I was like, nobody wants to see me dancing, blah, 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 blah. I'm actually a very good dancer. I'm very proud of that. I love the way I dance. But I couldn't do it. For some reason, I just kept getting stage fright. I kept getting anxiety. I kept freaking out to post a 10-second clip of me dancing on TikTok, which is a dance app. But no, for some reason, there was like shame, there was insecurity, there was intrusive thoughts, and I posted it anyway. And I felt so good. I didn't die. Nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. And that's when I realized I still have a lot of stuff to work on to get me to where I want to be. And second day I posted it, I did it more for fun and I loved it. And now today's the third day and I'm going to post another video. And I don't know how it'll feel, but so you'll be surprised at whenever people say, oh, I don't have any shadows to work on, I don't have any like mental or emotional health to work on or anything like that. And then they actually start kind of analyzing and breaking down certain things, like breaking down certain emotions. That's when they get a rude awakening, because it's like the littlest, teeniest thing that you're like, oh, I'll get over it, no worries. When you actually go to do it, it ends up being this bigger thing than it's supposed to be. But anyway, so we're just gonna quickly recap, and I'll actually have a screen here so you guys can take a screenshot right now. So learning duality, step 1 is recognizing and getting to know each emotion. So light and shadow emotions, write them down and talk to them. Understanding these emotions and duality is part 2, which is deconstruct situations current or the ones on your mind. Break down the scenario, write down as much about your emotions as you can, and as much detail as well. And you are allowed to feel and supposed to feel all of these emotions, so do not feel shame. And finally, 3 is ask and talk to your emotions. If you cannot talk to them or are scared to feel them or face them, just make a list of the emotions as you feel them. This is the importance of a journal or taking a video of you just blabbering on about your emotions. That's how I got started, so you never know. It's actually been quite great. This whole YouTube, I'm so grateful for it. It's been so therapeutic. It has allowed me to start making content and not give a fuck about what anybody else says. It's like literally for me, if it just so happens that I can help other people, it's a way for me to share my knowledge, build a little community, and if it helps people, then all the more for it. Every time I get a comment from somebody being like, I like this meditation, thank you so much, I'm like, oh my god, I feel so good. And that helps with my need for validation, okay? But anyways, being able to come on here and talk to you guys and talk about my emotions and be vulnerable and encourage you to do the same and share my stuff is one of the greatest experiences ever, and I am so grateful for it. So grateful. So anyways, that's all for today. Spend time in duality and try, I don't know, I feel like I have so much to say, so much advice to give. So if you need anything encouraging, anything specific, let me know in the comments before I keep blabbering. Okay, I love you. Bye.